Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about the dangers of not being in alignment with your PMDD partner. So I really wanted to talk about this because I've seen a lot of this go on in my private sessions with my private clients. And I've had one-on-ones where I've talked about some of the struggles that they're having with their partner. So when you have a partner that has PMDD and then you come to me to get help on these sessions, a lot of times there's a lot of comments that are being made because sometimes I'll have one-on-one sessions and then I'll have sessions where we're all together, but they're like, Dr. Rose, the sessions aren't working, the tools aren't working. And I will literally tell them, I know exactly why they're not working. And it's not the fact that the tools don't work, but there's a missing element that you're not really grasping and understanding that's stopping you from being able to utilize the tools within your PMDD relationship. And so I wanted to make sure that I spoke with you all about it, because so many times you may be very frustrated with the fact that you're addressing a lot of the issues that you're having in your PMDD relationship. You may be talking to your partner one-on-one and just saying, you know, babe, we're having these issues in our relationship. We really need to get on the same page with this. And when you start to say that you're trying to get on the same page with something, that means that you're not on the same page with a lot of the issues that you have. And this could be finances, this could be co-parenting, this could be intimacy, this could be chores and how you handle that. It could be PMDD and how that works when you go into PMDD and getting, you know, each other's needs met. A lot of times when you're in that position of trying to get on the same page and you're getting frustrated, it's because you're not in alignment as a couple. We have to go back to the foundation of, are you in alignment with your PMDD partner? A lot of times when you first started the relationship, you may have said, you know, we're going in this direction. This is what we want the relationship to look like. This is what we want our life to look like. This is how we're going to navigate PMDD, all of these things. And over the years, that may have changed. A lot of times when partners come to me one-on-one, and I have a lot of one-on-one private clients that have PMDD, and they're on this journey of just finding out that they have PMDD, or they've tried other things that haven't worked. And now they're in a place of saying, I really want to work on myself. A lot of times what they have found that has worked for their PMDD is working on themselves, meaning working on themselves emotionally, mentally, intellectually, spiritually, physically, all of the things that we really just customize what that means is working on themselves. We customize what that looks like. So I will literally address the areas of their life that they're finding dissatisfaction with. Like, are you not comfortable in your body anymore? And now it's affecting the intimacy with your partner. Are you want more education about PMDD so you actually know what's going on with your PMDD so that you can articulate it with your partner. You want to be able to manage your emotions better so that you can better regulate that PMDD rage and manage your emotions when you're hearing those hurtful words so that you're not responding in a way that's damaging to your PMDD partner and damaging, you know, to the relationship. What are the specific ways that you want to grow as a person. And this is what I work with, in the PMDD Partners Break A Poof Academy. It is a level of accountability that you are consistently working on your PMDD journey on a weekly basis. This is why I make that community available, because that means you're not going weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months of not addressing the things that are coming up for you in your PMDD relationship. You're actually learning new tools every single week, so that when you have an issue in that area, you actually have the tools that apply to that. So if you've not joined, make sure you go to the link in the show notes and join the Break A Poof Academy. But what I do with my private clients is really address, what does that look like? What is the area that you want to work on? And so then we'll go through weeks of working on the specific area, but I want to make sure that you understand, I do them one at a time. So I don't overload you. I know a lot of times when you're thinking about having counseling, having therapy, having private sessions, you may feel like it's so overwhelming. I don't know if I have the energy to do it. I'm barely surviving my PMDD. Everything that I do when I implement my tools with you as my private clients, they're bite-sized. They are little things that you're adding onto your routine, little things that you're altering into your routine, little tools that you're using with your PMDD partner and even with yourself throughout the week. And then we measure that progress for the next week and we build upon it. So it's not overwhelming working with me as a private client. So if that's something that you've been thinking about and you're saying, I don't know, it seems like it may be too much, I would strongly encourage you to book that session and really understand what it looks like. But when you are trying to get better in a certain area and you're saying, you know what, this is really bothering me every month when I go into PMDD, and maybe your self-esteem, your self-worth, and I really want to work on this. So we'll go through the tools and we'll start working on it. And as time goes by, you'll feel really good about yourself. There's a level of confidence that you have because you've gone through the same situations that you would have gone through before. You reacted differently, and you begin to get really proud of yourself. Like, oh, Dr. Rose, I didn't go off on PMDD rage or when I normally used to, or I didn't feel rejected when I normally used to. There's a lot of progress that you're going to see and a lot of transformation that you're going to see when you go on this journey of just deciding to work on yourself. So what happens when I'm working with one client, meaning I'm working with one partner and I'm not working with the other one, is that there's this level of elevation that comes. There's this level of growth that comes. And a lot of times they're trying to get their partner to come along on the journey with them, but their partner is not willing. So when they get to the point where they're elevating because they're feeling better about themselves, they're feeling better in their body, they're feeling better in their mind, they're managing their PMDD better, and then they're looking over to their partner and they're saying, maybe they're wanting to include their partner in some of the rituals and the tools that we're using. Like, say if you have, certain times in the morning where you're moving your body and you're going on a walk, maybe you're saying, oh, you want your partner to come along and go on a walk with you. Or maybe you're managing your finances better, so you're not fighting about who's paying for what, and you're not feeling overwhelmed and stressed about how you're managing money. So you're wanting, to have like more joint accounts or more openness with talking about your finances. If this is what I want to tell you, whatever way that we're working together or that you're working yourself with elevating yourself in your PMDD relationship, if your partner is not willing to grow with you, it is going to be an issue. You're going to consistently find yourself on an uphill battle trying to pull your partner along the way. And if they're not willing to be in that place of growing with you, you're never going to have peace in your journey of trying to grow within yourself and within your PMDD relationship if your partner is not willing, because they may be fighting against the growth that you're exuding because they're comfortable with where you are. And that's what I've seen a lot of times is your partners may not want to make those changes. Maybe you're ready to make the changes because you're tired of things being the way that they are, but your partner may be fine with it. They may just be accepting, I guess this is how it is. I guess it's always going to be this way. They may have that always, always, always mentality, which was one of the lessons in the Break A Poof Academy that we just had this past week. It was on that it's always going to be like this. We're always going to be arguing. We're always going to be fighting. We're never going to get into a place where we have peace in our relationship. It's just going to be like this. And when you get into that point of having that always, always, always mentality, you're on the brink of a breakup from your PMDD partner, because you may get to a point where you feel really claustrophobic and say, you know what, I can't deal with this. I'm out. And so we want to stop you from getting to that place. So that's what the training was on, this past week. So if you haven't joined, click the link in the show notes so that you can go ahead and join and get that training. But I want you to really understand, when you're deciding to work on yourself, you need to be very open with your PMDD partner with your intentions. Because if you're working on yourself, but you're connected to someone who is not, your life on that journey is not going to be peaceful. There's always going to be chaos because you will always be consistently on a battle of trying to drag them and force them to going to a place that they genuinely don't want to go. If your partner doesn't want to get better in finances, they're not going to want to sit down and talk about finances. If your partner doesn't care about, the status of your intimacy, if they're fine with the lack of intimacy that you have right now, they don't want to have a conversation and utilize tools to be more, connected with intimacy. So this is the danger in it. The danger in it is that you can't do it alone. You cannot do a PMDD journey with your partner alone, because at some point you're going to get that fork in the road. And what I mean is, I don't have to work with you and your partner, but your partner has to be willing to utilize the tools that I'm giving to one of you in your PMDD relationship. I have a lot of clients where I only meet with one of the partners, but they take the tools back and then they say, okay, babe, like maybe we should do this, or let's try this tool this week. I'm completely fine with that, because not everybody is comfortable with having private sessions and being open and vulnerable, but your partner. So if you're in a place where you're feeling like, you know what, I'm ready to make changes, I'm ready to be that champion of our relationship, I'm ready for things to change, so I'm going to be willing to invest, I'm going to be willing to go on these private sessions to get the tools, and then I will take the tools back and I will utilize them within the relationship to cause us to grow. That works for a lot of my private clients. I only need one partner, but both must be willing. And I'm going to repeat that. I only need to work with one of your partners, one of you or your partner, in order for there to be transformation within your PMDD relationship with my trauma transformational tools. But both people have to be willing to utilize the tools. So I don't want to hear the tools don't work, the sessions don't work. They work if you work them. If you use the tools, they will work. It's just like if you went out and you bought a tool set and you said, oh, I'm going to use the tools to, put up these pictures and I'm going to put the screws in the wall. If you don't utilize the tools and you just have them sitting in the kitchen or sitting on the counter, they're not working. But if you leave them there and you're just looking at them all the time and you're saying, oh, it's so weird, I went out and invested in the tools, but it's weird that they're not working. You need to pick up the tools and actually utilize them for the different areas within your PMDD relationship. You need to be willing to utilize the tools in the areas that are causing you stress. I always say, when I'm working with private clients and they're trying to say, they come to me and they have like a lot of different issues within their PMDD relationship. And they always are like, I don't know what we're going to work on first. The first things that I always work on with my private clients is, what are the things that are causing you to have the most stress within your PMDD relationship? The reason why I do this is because when you have a lot of stress within your PMDD relationship, it leads you to that place of feeling helpless, of feeling hopeless, and it leads to the breakup. So I always go towards the issues that are causing you the most stress, and then we go from that issue, we work on that, we deal with that, and then we move on to the next one. I don't pile on and do all of the issues all at once, because you're probably not going to grasp all of the tools all at once. That's why I have the Stress Free with PMDD Partners package, because that way every single month we're tackling another issue that you have within your PMDD relationship, because it takes time. This is not a one-stop shop. And that's another thing that I always have to tell my private clients when they first come to me. They think everything's going to be solved in one session, when they have years of past trauma, years of traumatic events that have happened in PMDD, years of hurtful words that have been said that is still, ruminating in your mind, years of verbal, physical abuse, all of these things that you've dealt with and endured, and you think it can be erased in one session, and it doesn't work like that. And I would never offer that and say, okay, after one session, everything's just going to be cured. You're going to be like, it's going to be over. This is why all of my packages are on a monthly basis. because we need to take time. But I want you to know that when you are not in alignment with your PMDD partner, meaning you're not on the same page, there's a danger in that, because you're going to get to the point where you're going to get to that fork in the road. And I don't want you to feel that in order for me to grow in my PMDD journey, in order for me to grow as a better PMDD partner, I have to break up because my partner's not willing to go along with me. There's this resistance. A lot of times the resistance is they don't want to sit within the negative emotions that's tied to the issue that you have. Now, what that means is if you have an issue with intimacy in your relationship, let me use that as an example because that's a common one I've been seeing lately for a lot of PMDD partners. And then we address the root of it, the root of why there's not more intimacy, why there's a lack of intimacy. That one of the number one reasons is there's a lack of vulnerability, right? You're not wanting to sit with negative emotions. You're not wanting to be open. You're not wanting to be vulnerable. You're wanting to be, your physical needs to be met, like in the realms of intimacy, but it's not really considered intimate. It's not fulfilling because you're not really being open and vulnerable with your partner. So it doesn't fit you. That what that means is you could be having sex all the time. And so one partner may say, we don't have an issue with intimacy. We're having sex all the time. But is it true intimacy? Do you feel closer to your partner afterwards? Is that emotional closeness? Because if not, then it's not intimacy because your partner is not going to be fulfilled. You can feel when you're just going through the motions and having sex and when you're actually being intimate and you're feeling emotionally connected. That is what's going to fill your tank when you're in a PMDD relationship, not just having sex, not just going through the motions. So in this example, one of the partners may feel like, oh, I don't have an issue. I don't know why she's saying that we have an issue with our intimacy. We have sex all the time. Yeah, but are you close? And if you're not, we need to dig deep and really get to the bottom of why not. And that partner may not want to. So then we're at a fork in the road. So if I have tools, which I do specifically for intimacy, and we go to talk about why there's no vulnerability, why there's no openness, the partner who thinks that there's no problem may not want to open up and really talk about some of the common reasons why there's no vulnerability. And I'm going to give you some examples of what that could look like and what the reasons may be. But if they're not willing to use the tools to really open up and say, you know what, the reason why I'm not being vulnerable and really open with my PMDD partner is because there were instances where I was open and I was vulnerable and I was shut down. And so now I have this level of rejection to where I feel like I don't want to get hurt again. So I don't want to open myself up again while my partner's in PMDD and potentially get shut down. So now I'm at a place where I'm going through the motions of having sex, but I'm not really opening myself up. There's a wall that's being built between the two of you. And that's why neither one of you are fulfilled when you're just having sex. There's sex, but there's no intimacy. So that's an example of you need to really dig deep and really be open during these sessions and say, what is that wall? And then now that we've recognized that there's this wall, what can we do about it? So this is the work that we do with my private clients. But if one person is saying, I'm fine, if I'm having a session with you and I'm saying, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what you're missing. Let's talk about what needs aren't being met. I'm fine. My needs are met. If you're not ready to be honest with yourself, if your partner's not ready to be honest with me, then the tools are not going to work. So that's one of the main reasons why you may say like, oh, it's not working for me, or it's not, because the partner's not willing to open up. So you have to be willing to be open and vulnerable, and it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable all the time because a lot of stuff comes up with it. But once you dig that stuff up and you utilize the tools, then the tools work. Because once we get over that wall that's being built, that those things that have been covered up, and you know, as the other partner, you know when your partner is covering up some things, you know when you're not feeling emotionally close, you know what that feels like. You know what it feels like when you're emotionally connected, and you know what it feels like when you're not emotionally connected. So the next way that I'm going to give you some signs of what it looks like when you're not in alignment with your PMDD partner. This may mean you have different values, core values. morals, beliefs, what's important to life, what's important in life. If you have different ways of looking at life at this point, maybe in the beginning, you may have had the same kind of values and core values and goals and all these things. And now you're at a place where you're just not seeing eye to eye. The holiday season that we're in right now is a very good indicator if you have the same core values. What do the holidays look like for you? I had one of these arguments with my PMDD partner recently because I was saying, during the holidays, I like to travel and go on trips. And then he was basically saying, I like to be at home around family and sit and eat and just talk and, have a good time. And I was just like, oh, well, we recognized we had different values when it comes to the holidays because I value family, but I want my family to like come on trips with me. Or if I'm going somewhere, like I love getting cabins. Like the other year, I went and got a cabin in the Poconos in the mountains, and I love just inviting, families with their kids and their pets and all the things to just come and disconnect and go to a different environment and just enjoy themselves in that. Whereas my partner was saying he wants to go home. He wants to go to a family member's home and sit there and feel nurtured in that way. So that was a difference of not being in alignment with family core values. Right. So the next sign that you could be like in a place where you're not in alignment is you have mismatched life goals. When it comes to retirement, for example, I'll keep using myself. When it comes to retirement, I want to live, overseas somewhere on an island and be able to travel all the time and be able to do my work with PMDD partners in a way that I can go and eventually have retreats and have these one-on-one sessions in person and have, big seminars. And my retirement goals are to travel the world and pour into PMDD partners all of my tools and my resources. And that's fulfilling for me. That's what life in retirement looks like for me. Whereas my partner might say, well, life looks like for me, I want to buy a house, be surrounded in near family to where I can frequently go visit them. And after spending, 20 some years in the military, and not being around family, I just want to be around family. So now you have those mismatched life goals. And it's like, wait a minute. And when that happens, it can create tension and dissatisfaction because now, say we fast forward to retirement, and then we're figuring out, okay, this is how I want to spend my spare time. But it's tension because now it's like, I want to go here and you want to go there. So now it's showing another situation where we're not in alignment, because that means somebody has to give up something that they really want to do within the PMDD relationship. And that's where you can get a lot of bitterness and resentment when you get to a place where this is what you want your life to look like, but your partner wants their life to look completely different. And so somebody's going to get their way, but that means somebody's not going to get their way. So another way that can show that you're not in alignment in your PMDD relationship is financial goals. One is the spender, one is the saver. That's the same thing in all relationships. There's one person that really loves to spend, and there's one person that really likes to save. Well, when we're going into PMDD and you're talking about being in alignment with your PMDD partner, these are some of the things that is going to cause you to have a lot of conflicts, because PMDD has a way of exasperating, making whatever way that you're not in alignment, PMDD is going to take it and run with it. So PMDD is going to start giving you intrusive thoughts about why you shouldn't be with your PMDD partner because, your financial goals are not the same. So if you start to see your partner spending a lot of money, or they're not saving money, or you're wanting to spend and they're constantly telling you that you can't spend because they want to save, then you're going to start to feel like, well, maybe I shouldn't be with this PMDD partner because we don't agree on how we want to spend our finances. So PMDD is going to take any way that you're not in alignment with your PMDD partner and turn it into a reason to break up. So the next sign that you're not in alignment with your PMDD partner is communication styles. When I go into conflict, I prefer to minimize communication because I don't want to say things that I may regret later on. I want to be very intentional with the things that I'm saying, versus when my PMDD partner gets into conflict, he likes to just say whatever comes to his mind. So now we have different communication styles when it comes to conflict. So I really lean into what are the ways that that are going to cause you stress within your PMDD relationship. That these are the ways that I want to make sure that you're not in alignment. right? Because if you're not in alignment with the way that you communicate during conflict, it's going to cause stress for you. You're going to have misunderstandings. You're going to have stress. You're going to have arguments because when it comes to conflict, you communicate differently. So all of these things that I'm mentioning, I have tools for, but if you're in that place where you have different communication styles when it comes to conflict, and there's literally a whole lesson on that in the Break A Poof Academy, and say I give you the tools in that lesson and I say, hey, if you have different communication styles when it comes to conflict, this is what you need to do to get on the same page. This is what you need to do to get in alignment. And there's one partner that's willing and one partner that's not, it's not going to work because one partner is going to start to communicate differently. And maybe it's that I say, like, maybe you're like my partner, where you do like a word vomit, where you just say the first thing that comes to your mind, you hurt your partner's feelings, and then you try to communicate with them afterwards, but they're not willing to communicate with you because their feelings are hurt. So maybe I tell you to take some deep breaths, take some space and time before you have your initial conversation when you're in conflict. And then say if I am the other partner and I don't utilize the tools and I stay shut down. So that means when my partner would come to me and try to use the tools and say, hey, can we talk about this right now? Because I want to, talk about it in a healthy way, all these things. And I'm still shut down because I'm not using the tools. Then that means my partner's tool is not going to work. So what I'm telling you is that both of you have to be willing to use the tools, because if your partner is using the tool and you're not, or you're using the tool and your partner's not, it's not going to work because they need to be working in alignment with each other. You have a role and your partner has a role in all of the tools that I implement with my private clients. If your PMDD is the problem, meaning if it's just a matter of your reactions when you're in PMDD, your rage, then yes, I can work with only you and your partner really doesn't have to do anything differently. But if the issues that you have are about your relationship as a whole, then you're both going to have to be using the tools. So another sign that you're not in alignment is the way that you resolve conflict. If you're not on the same page with that, meaning if I want to avoid it and my partner wants to confront it, we're not in alignment. So when conflict comes, both of us are trying to do two separate things. And so we're always going to be in a losing battle because we're always going to be in this place of feeling like the other partner is trying to force me to resolve this conflict in a way that doesn't feel comfortable to me. A lot of times your partner may not be comfortable with coming over to your side, right? You may say, okay, the healthier thing to do is to just open up and have a conversation about something. And your partner may say, I don't want to open up and have a conversation about something. I feel comfortable just avoiding it and pretending like there's no issue. There's a lot of PMDD partners that prefer to live in the land of Peter Pan, where they just pretend like everything's great, even though it's not great, because they don't want to sit into the negative emotions. So they prefer for you to just wipe over everything, just cover everything up, cover it up, pretend like we don't have any issues and we'll be fine. That's not a way to resolve any issues. And so when your partner comes and says, no, like we actually have to uncover some of the things that happen. We actually have to talk about some of the things that happen. The partner may say, I don't want to do that. I don't, they might be fighting you. They may be literally fighting you about not fighting and having conflict. They just want you to just pretend like everything's fine. Don't talk about the issues and then there won't be any issues. A lot of PMDD partners are like that. It's a very stoic mentality where they're not comfortable talking about the issues and they feel like you're the issue because you're bringing up the issue. So then that means that you're not in alignment. You're never going to be able to resolve any conflict because you can only cover up things for so long. Like you can do it for a little bit. And then after a while, you're going to feel like you want to explode. And that's a lot of times where the PMDD rage comes, because you've been stuffing down your triggers. You've been stuffing down the things that have been bothering you, and you feel like you can't take it anymore. And even for the partner who doesn't have PMDD, you may feel like you're overlooking things. You're making excuses for your partner. You're like, oh, they're in PMDD. That's why they're not doing this. Oh, they're in PMDD. That's why they're not being emotionally connected to me. Oh, they're in PMDD. That's why we keep arguing about finances. Oh, oh, they're in PMDD. That's why we can't get on the same page with co-parenting. Oh, they're in PMDD. That's why they're talking to me crazy. Like, you're making so many excuses, but at some point, you're going to get tired. You're going to run out of excuses, and you're going to get tired of making excuses. And then you're going to go off. And then at the end of the day, the issue is still going to have to be resolved. But now we have to get past the conflict. Now we have to get past the bitterness and the resentment. Because now you've probably said and done things that are hurtful. And now we have to get past that and still get to the place where we're addressing the actual issue. So the next way that you may not be in alignment with your PMDD partner is the emotional availability. If one partner is emotionally open and expressive when it comes to talking about things in your PMDD relationship, and the other one is closed off and struggles with emotional intimacy, that means one partner can end up feeling really lonely and disconnected because they may literally be going to their partner. I've had this happen in past relationships where I've literally been pouring my heart out, crying, struggling, saying, babe, this is what's going on. And I'm crying. And my partner is doesn't care that I'm crying, was completely disconnected, like pretty much like telling me or asking me, do I need a moment to collect myself? Because not even my crying impacted them. That's how emotionally disconnected we were. So I'm in this place of trying to be emotionally open and resolving the issues and telling them how much I love them and telling them how much I'm invested in this and telling them that I'm willing to do what it takes. And then they're just sitting there like blink, blink. That's because you're not in alignment, because you don't value the relationship in the same way, in a way that you're willing to show your emotions. Because when you value a relationship, you're willing to be emotionally vulnerable and be emotionally available for your partner whenever they need it. You're willing to open up. You're willing to go against that urge to just shut down and avoid, because you're like, you know what? I want to stay connected emotionally, so I'm willing to do this. And the next way that you could be not in alignment with your PMDD partner is the way that you prioritize your relationship. So this is one of the biggest issues that I have with my PMDD partner is a lot of times I was feeling like work was being put in front of the issues that we were having in our PMDD relationship. I would say, hey, like, I understand that you have a lot of stress going on with work, but like it's impacting our relationship. Let's deal with the issues that are going on with our relationship so that there's at least peace in the home. Like if you don't have peace at work and we're going through PMDD, then why would you want to come home and have issues within our PMDD relationship? Like don't let the issues at work cause you to feel like a failure, and then you feel like a failure as a partner as well. Like, let's continue to prioritize our relationship. Let's have the sessions. Let's utilize the tools. And then my partner was like, oh, I don't have time for that. I don't have the capacity to deal with the issues that I have going on with work and our relationship. I was so hurt by that. And that was showing a lack of alignment, because in my mind, our relationship is the most important thing, not work. But for a lot of PMDD partners, there's a misalignment because they feel like work is the most important, and then the relationship. And so a lot of times you're going to have a lot of frustration, and there's going to be a lot of loneliness and feeling like you're not prioritized as a person. If your partner's not willing to say, you know what, regardless of what I have going on at work, I'm always going to make sure that we're good. That's the way that I value relationships. That's the way that I prioritize relationships. And you may have to think about how you prioritize relationships and then look at that in comparison to your partner. What scale does your partner put you on? Are you first, or is work first? Are you first? Are the kids first? Are you first? Are the finances first? Are you first? Or is family and friends first? Because the way that you prioritize career, friendships, maybe even goals, maybe your passion, even when I talk about my business, my relationship is the most important. And my business comes after that, because I can't be, good for my clients if I'm not good within myself, within my relationship. And so I prioritize, my relationship, and I prioritize my relationship with myself. So there's a level of hierarchy in the way that I value, certain aspects of the relationships in my life. And so you really need to understand that if you're not in alignment with the way that you prioritize your PMDD relationship, it's dangerous. Because then when something happens, if there's two things that's going on, if there's stress at work and there's stress in the relationship, the way that your partner prioritizes the relationship is going to determine how they react. Are they going to go straight to the stress at work, or are they going to start pouring in and go straight to the stress in the relationship? Are they going to invest more time at work, or are they going to invest more time at home? Are they going to make an investment to spend more hours at work, to pour into work, to get better at work? Or are they going to invest, their time and energy and finances into having private sessions and really working on the issues that you're having? A lot of times I've had a lot of private clients where, one partner is coming to me and they're very hurt that their partner is not willing to invest in the sessions. Like they're like, I see my partner, spend money on all of these other things. But when I say that we need to have private sessions with Dr. Rose and we really need to deal with the issues in our relationship, they make excuses or they prioritize other things. That means that you're not in alignment. They're not prioritizing your relationship the same way that you do. Because you may say, no, this is a priority. We need to have these sessions. We need to get to the bottom of this. We know that it is, what we need. And they may be like, oh, we'll be fine. Pretty much we've been surviving this long. Like we'll be good. Or they'll kind of like stall. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to do that. And then they never do it. But when it comes to something that they actually prioritize, they have no issue pulling the plug and spending the finances, spending the time, spending the effort. That's because you're not in alignment, because they don't prioritize the relationship as much as you do. So the next thing is the personal growth. I've seen this so many times where when you have a mismatched desire for personal growth or self-improvement, it leads to these feelings of feeling stagnant, feeling in the comfort zone, or frustration if one partner feels held back and then the other person feels like unsupported and wanting to grow. So if you feel like I'm not really comfortable in my body, I want to start getting on this movement journey where I'm doing something that feels good in my body, I'm making it a habit, I want to get up and do it every day. And so you tell it to your partner, and it is not that your partner has to do it with you, but they're just not excited, they're not supporting you. Right? Like you're saying, hey, can you take care of the kids so that I can get my morning routine done and get my movement in so I feel better about myself and my body? And they're like, I don't want to do it because of this. They're not willing to do the things to support you on your journey of wanting to grow within yourself, of feeling better about yourself. Or maybe you need time to journal. And so you're asking for that space and time. Like, I really need to have time to journal. Can you take care of the chores, or can you do this so that I can have time to journal? If they don't prioritize your personal growth, if it's not important to them, then they may be like, oh, like, I can't help you with that. I have this going on. I have this going on. So then you may feel like you're held back. Like, I can't go to the next level on the things that are going to help me feel better about myself because I don't have the support of my partner. So you may feel unsupported by your PMDD partner because when you come to them and you say that you want to improve in a certain area, they're not willing to support you. Maybe you're wanting to pay off some debt. And you're saying, I really want to pay off debt. Can you help me by cutting back on this, and this, so that I can pay off these credit cards, or I can pay off my car, or I can get out of this situation because I don't feel good about myself because I'm holding this debt over my head. And then your partner's just not supportive. You're not in alignment because they're not prioritizing you growing. And the next thing is, or the last thing is, it's just lifestyle, differences. If you're not in alignment with the way that you spend your lifestyle, maybe one of you is social and one of you is an introvert and likes to stay inside. It's not that you have to do the same things, but it's a matter of supporting the other person. So if I'm an introvert and I want to stay at home all the time, but I have a partner that's an extrovert and wants to always go out, if I'm not supporting the fact that my partner wants to go out, if I'm trying to force them to stay in the house and be an introvert like me, then that means that I'm not valuing their actual personality and what they need to feel their best. I'm saying I would rather you just stay inside with me. So we're not in alignment because I'm not willing to support you on what makes you feel your best. And that's the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this whole episode, is that when you're not in alignment and you're not willing to be in alignment, you're really at the dangers of being on the brink of a breakup with your PMDD relationship, because PMDD is going to take every single reason that I brought up in all of these things. So wherever you identify in any of these issues, they're going to take that and say, this is a reason why you should break up, because you're not in alignment in this way. So if you don't address the way that you're not in alignment, then you're going to feel like you're not compatible. You shouldn't be with this person. Maybe you should just be with somebody else. You're going to get into that mode, and you're not going to have anything to keep you connected because your partner's not going to be willing to do the things that are going to get you in alignment. So if you listen to this episode and you're like, yeah, there's definitely some places where me and my partner are not in alignment, I don't want you to feel like you have to get rid of your whole partner. What I do want you to know is that your partner has to be willing to get in alignment. It's just like if you go get your tires aligned, right? They always tell you if you're going to switch your tires out, if you're going to change your tires, you need to get an alignment done to make sure you're all moving in the same direction. Because what happens when you're not in alignment is you try to move forward, but you're getting veered to the right, you're getting veered to the left, just like the vehicle, right? You're not able to consistently move forward without there feeling like there's some force and there's forcing. So if you feel like you've been forcing your partner to do these things, you've been pushing them, you've been nagging them, you've been telling them, we need to get help, we need to do this, we need to do that. It may be a situation where your partner feels like we don't need to do anything. You need to do something because I'm fine with where we are. And I've seen that so many times with my private clients is you're feeling the urge to move forward in your relationship in a certain way and your partner just doesn't. That means you're not in alignment, but that doesn't mean, that means the first thing that we need to do when we're working together is to get you both in alignment before we can deal with any issues that we have in your PMDD relationship. Your partner has to genuinely believe that it is an issue. If your partner doesn't think it's an issue, they're not going to utilize the tools in order to resolve the issue. If you're arguing with someone that doesn't think that there's anything to argue about, if you get into a boxing ring and you're punching and your partner is not punching back to stay in the fight, to stay invested, then there's no fight. There's just you swinging, exhausting yourself. And that's what I've seen so much as I've seen private clients getting so stressed out, having their cortisol levels be so high, their PMDD symptoms being exasperated because they're trying to force their partner to do something that they genuinely don't want to do. So if you know that your partner getting in alignment is the first thing that you need to work on, I want you to go and get the Stress-Free with PMDD Partners package. And we can take that first month with just getting you in alignment with your PMDD partner so that any tool that is used, you're automatically going to be going in the same direction. So if you know that you want to get on the same page with your partner, you want to stop feeling like you're pushing and pulling and forcing and nagging, because it doesn't feel good. It feels like a very lonely journey. I've been there where I feel exhausted. I'm like, I don't even want to have another conversation about the same issues that we're having, because every month in PMDD, I'm telling you about the same things. And you're telling, yeah, we need to work on that. And then nothing happens. That's why there's no level of transformation in your relationship, because there's no level of accountability. That's what you get in the Break A Poof Academy. And that's what you get with the private sessions. I'm holding you accountable for going into the direction that you're telling me that you want to go in your PMDD relationship. So if you're having issues holding your partner accountable, that's where I come in. It's almost better. And I've seen that a lot of times where the transformation with my private clients is, it's better for a third party to be holding them accountable than for you to be holding them accountable. They can feel a level of resentment and bitterness towards you for keep calling them out on things, but they're not going to feel that for me. And if they do from me, it's a level of they're expected to. They're like, okay, well, that's pretty much why we hired Dr. Rose. That's pretty much why we hired her. So there's less resistance, because it's like, okay, this person is holding me accountable for going into the direction that I say that I want to go in. Meaning I always ask you, is this your person? They say yes. Okay, if this is your person, then this is the direction. These are the tools. These are the actions that you need to do in order for you to get in a better relationship with your person. Then it's like, okay, that's understandable, versus you keep saying, you need to do this, there's a lot of blaming and criticizing, and we used to do this and we used to do that, and how come we don't do this anymore? There's no results that come out of the blaming and the shaming and the criticizing. So if that's what you're doing, I want you to stop, because you're exhausting yourself. Your partner is not going to respond to you telling them what they used to do, what they should be doing, what they need to be doing, what other PMDD partners are doing. All you're doing is blaming and shaming them and giving them more of a reason to not do it. So if that's something that you really need help with, go to my website, www.inlovewithpmdd.com. I will see you in the academy. I will see you on the private sessions. And until next episode, we got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.